I want to address something. We're plagued by too many public figures who are liars. Trump is a liar. Walz and Harris are liars. Walz, Walz was interviewed over the weekend by Fox. It was a pretty good interview by Fox standards, huh?
Yep.
And
Shannon Bream.
Who?
Shannon Bream.
Do you have the part isolated that I want about where Walz said he's a liar, but nobody cares? I want to hear that again.
Listen, before we go, because I wish that we had a full hour, I want to give you a chance, because you called yourself a knucklehead this week, to talk about some of your misstatements. Yes. You've modified your story or explained that you misspoke about things involving your military rank, about carrying a weapon in war, your 1995 DUI arrest, using IVF to have your beautiful children, Gus and Hope, being in Hong Kong and China in the summer of 1989 during the Tiananmen events. A lot of people would say they couldn't get away with saying, I'm just too passionate, my grammar's not right, I'm a knucklehead. What do you say to the American people who think, I don't know that I can trust this guy with all those modifications to be the potential commander-in-chief of this country?
Yeah, well, I think they heard me. They heard me the other night speaking passionately about gun violence and misspeaking. And I got to be honest with you, Shannon, I don't think people care whether I used IUI or IVF when we talk about this. What they understand is Donald Trump would resist those things. Look, I speak passionately. I had an entire career, decades before I was in public office. They know, and I'm very proud of my 24 years in service and my record. I have never disparaged someone else in this, but I know that's not what Donald Trump does. They disparage everyone, the personal attacks. I will own up when I misspeak. I will own up when I make a mistake. Let's be very clear. On that debate stage the other night, I asked one very simple question, and Senator Vance would not acknowledge that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. I think they're probably far more concerned with that than my wife and I used IUI to have our child, and that Donald Trump would restrict that. So I think folks know who I am. My constituents here in Minnesota have elected me 8 times. They know where I'm at, and I'm proud to be on the ticket, and we'll deliver just like we have here in Minnesota.
Right. And if we're going to deal in truth, both the president, the former president, and his nominee have said that they are very supportive of IVF. We are glad you have your precious family, and we thank you for serving in uniform and your years and decades as a teacher. My mom was too. I know it's really hard work and sometimes very thankless. So, Governor, we appreciate your time.
Thanks, Shannon.
Come back soon. All right.
So, am I exaggerating to say that basically he's saying people don't care if I lie? Is that what he's saying? Staff, anyone? Anyone?
That he stretches the truth. Yes, I don't think specifically lie, because he didn't say the word lie. But
the answer to that question, Joe, depends on who you're going to vote for, quite simply. Yeah, doesn't it?
Is that where we are, though?
Yeah.
As a society, is that where we are? Trump's a liar. Walz is a liar. What are you supposed to believe in? I don't think Harris has lied a lot yet, because she doesn't stand for anything. Once she develops a program, then she can start lying about it.
Well, would you like to hear from her? Because I don't agree with you.
What is this?
She was on this program called 60 Minutes. It aired last night.
Right.
And, well, here, I'm just going to play it. It's a minute long.
I've been covering the border for years. And so I know this is not a problem that started with your administration.
Correct.
But there was an historic flood of undocumented immigrants coming across the border the first 3 years of your administration. As a matter of fact, arrivals quadrupled from the last year of President Trump. Was it a mistake to loosen the immigration policies as much as you did?
It's a long-standing problem, and solutions are at hand. And from day one, literally, we have been offering solutions.
What I was asking was it a mistake to kind of allow that flood to happen in the first place?
I think the policies that we have been proposing are about fixing a problem, not promoting a problem. Okay?
But the numbers did quadruple.
And the numbers today, because of what we have done, we have cut the flow of illegal immigration by half.
Should you
we
have
have
done
cut
that?
the
Should you
flow
have
of
done that?
fentanyl by half. But we need Congress to be able to act to actually fix the problem.
I don't even know what the hell she's talking about.
Wah, 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 wah.
Can I say something else about her?
She's assigning blame to others.
Thank you.
What she's doing.
That's, I guess, the part that is maddening to me.
She's not taking responsibility, and now she's blaming Congress
And that's-
for her own actions.
And that's what Walz did, when he was asked about telling the truth. It's the immediate response is orange man bad.
There was another bit of audio I wanted you to get, and it's my fault. I forgot to even ask you for it.
Sure.
And that's where she was asked how she's going to. The questioner said something about, we're dealing with real life here. How are you going to pay for these things that you want to accomplish? Mm-hmm. And she said something I've been hearing my entire lifetime. And I'm just so tired of it because it isn't even a lie. It's just nonsense. She plans to increase taxes on wealthy individuals and corporations.
I might have it here.
Okay.
We have
You want to
cut
expand
the flow of
the
illegal
child tax
immigration
credit.
by.
Oops. I'm sorry. The other clip is still playing. Just give me 5 seconds and I'll have it for you here. I apologize.
You want
The 60 Minutes guy is Bill Whitaker.
Thank you.
You want to expand the child tax credit.
Yes, I do.
You want to give tax breaks to first-time home buyers.
Yes.
And people starting small businesses.
Correct.
How are you going to pay for that?
My economic plan would strengthen America's economy. His would weaken it.
But pardon me, Madam Vice President, the question was, how are you going to pay for it?
Well, I want her answer.
That was the whole clip.
Well, her answer was to make rich people pay their fair share. And again, I've been hearing that my entire life, and it's a canard. And I'm getting this from CBS, which got it from the government. About 27% of taxpayers believe their federal income taxes are fair. 60% believe their burden is too high. The upper 1% pay the most taxes in the country. In 2021, the most recent data available, the typical earner paid $14,279 in federal taxes with an average tax rate of 14.9%. That's according to the Tax Foundation. But it's the top 50% of earners who contribute almost all of the nation's federal taxes. The top 58% of earners who contribute almost all of the nation's federal taxes pay 98% of all taxes.
That your economic plan would add $3 trillion to the federal deficit over the next decade. How are you going to pay for that?
Okay, so the other economists that have reviewed my plan versus my opponent and determined that my economic plan would strengthen America's economy, his would weaken it.
But
my plan, Bill, if you don't mind, my plan is about saying that when you invest in small businesses, you invest in the middle class, and you strengthen America's economy. Small businesses are part of the backbone of America's economy.
But pardon me, Madam Vice President, the question was, how are you going to pay for it?
Well, one of the things is I'm going to make sure that the richest among us who can afford it pay their fair share in taxes.
Stop.
It is.
I've heard that my whole life.
What are they paying now? Only half
The
their
top
share?
50% of all earners pay 98% of all taxes. Now, it's something that you prematurely gray-haired 42-year-old euphorians might want to keep in mind. If this woman really is going to increase spending by $3 trillion, there's no way you're off the hook. Because what we have now is the bottom 50% of taxpayers who individually make below $47,000 annually account for about 2.3% of the country's tax receipts. Okay.
Wait. The bottom 50% is $47,000.
$47,000 and under. The bottom 50% pay 2.3% of the country's tax receipts. according to the Tax Foundation analysis of IRS data. What that can only mean is she can't nail rich people enough to account for $3 trillion. You who make 47 grand, you will have to participate. Your taxes will have to go up. They'll just have to. The top 10% with incomes of at least $169,800 pay 3/4 of the nation's tax bill. So those of you at $169,800 a year, you are among the group paying at least 3/4, 75% of the nation's tax bill. You understand why?
Yeah, I do.
What she's saying is just utter boilerplate nonsense, and it's the top 1% who pay the highest federal tax rate of 26%.
Okay. As it exists now, is that fair in your mind?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
So, because
no further questions,
right?
Your Honor.
Because the only other way to say it is, no, that's not fair. You're paying 26%. You should be paying 42%.
Right.
Okay.
You saw through me. I was going to go down the flat tax road, but you saw right through.
Well, there's
my
got to be a
shenanigans.
better way than this. And then don't forget, too, that these careerists like Kamala Harris always say, got to get rich people to pay their fair share. The rich people are paying exactly what you've allowed them to pay because you write the tax legislation. That's where Trump.
Oh, sorry.
Trump said, "How do you know? How do you know the system's rigged?" Back in the early debate with Biden, he said, "Because I use it."
Yeah.
It's not rigged so much as you've written the tax laws in such a way that the Donald Trumps of the world can legally pay using their lawyers to figure it out. And that's what you people wrote. So don't come to me and say, we got to get the rich to pay more. You wrote the tax legislation.
And by the way, if you didn't know this, after a certain level of income, you get audited every single year.
Have you ever been
every year?
Have you ever been in a tax lawyer's office?
Well, no, none of us make enough.
Well,
Yeah.
I've been in one, not because I make enough, but because I've been in one. All right?
All right. Sorry.
One wall is nothing but you know who I'm talking
I know
about.
exactly what you're talking
One wall is nothing but hardcore volumes of tax codes.
Yeah.
Fun.
I didn't write them. Trump didn't write them. Musk didn't write them. Bill Gates didn't write them. 200 people in the country wrote those. You can't come back then and bitch about it. You wrote them.
And they keep changing them every year.
Yeah,
you gotta
they do.
You got to go
Yeah.
in and get certified.
Linda Keller Tax Service.
What?
She answers my questions before I ask
Right.
them. That's how good she is.
Do this, dummy.